What was the first deal, and how did you get into venture investing before we touch on TQ?
I was a big college party promoter, and I used to pay a hacker to, every time I got kicked out of the EDU databases at the colleges, I'd pay this kid like $400 or $500 to log back in and hack back in and get me all the addresses so I could blast the kids. And then something called thefacebook.com launched, and Emory was one of the first like 8 or 12 schools. And I was like, wait a second, I can use thefacebook.com to like get to all the kids. And I contacted Mark Zuckerberg, and then he put me in touch with at the time it said, I think it was like, Master of Coin Eduardo Saverin was like on the contact page. And he put me in touch with Eduardo, and we started negotiating, and I was trying to invest $100,000 for 10% of Facebook. And we had emails going back and forth. And then Eduardo wrote me at my SocioDef email address, because I was working at SocioDef at the time. Hey, Mark wants to launch 32 more schools in 2 weeks. He's decided he doesn't want to take any capital. I found out years later, because I saw Eduardo in Singapore, that I had no chance of getting in because Eduardo was pushed out at that point, and that anyone negotiating with Eduardo, Mark wasn't going to let in. But also, he wasn't going to take any money because he was launching more schools. So I had broken up with my high school sweetheart. She was at BC. He was like, if you ever want to come up to Boston and still talk to us, come by. And I look back now and I know myself. If I would have gone up there, I might have gotten in. But I didn't want to go up there because I was too afraid to see my ex-girlfriend. And I also didn't understand
That was a very expensive relationship.
You know what? I didn't understand investing at that point. These things didn't exist. I just thought it was a way to get my parties out there. So a year later, Peter Thiel invested, I think, $1 million for like 10%.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my God, I could have made $1 million. Like, that's how much I didn't understand what it could be. So it's not like I understood, but in the years to come, Facebook kept rising, and I recognized that. And I thought, oh, I did miss out on something here. I should continue to look in this space. And that loss opened me up to the idea of investing. And it led me to a slew of other companies that I've been fortunate enough to be an investor in. And I started investing very early. I think I started investing when I was like 26, 27. I started investing in tech.
Do you remember your first deal? I remember getting sent the wire instructions, like $50K to a random bank. You're like, wow, shit.
I remember one of my first deals, everyone thought I was crazy on my team because I had a new business manager. I was starting to make some money. And it was a company that was valued at $400 million in San Francisco. And it was only in San Francisco, and it was a cab company called Uber. And it was an Uber car. And the only reason I knew about it is I'd gone up there to see another tech founder that I didn't get in on. And he called me an Uber. And the experience blew my mind. And then someone brought it to me, and I was asking about it. And they're like, oh, you got to meet this guy. He's raising for it. My team was like, this is crazy. You shouldn't do this. And I'm very grateful that I did. Travis is one of the best founders I've ever met in my entire life.
Was it immediately obvious?
Once you met him, yeah. Yeah. I mean, none of this, we all like to say it's so obvious what it's going to become. At that time.
No, but his talent and his...
Yeah, but at that time, like, you were thinking, oh, it could be a 2 or 3X, like, maybe. Like, I don't want to lie. Like, I think we all say, oh, I saw it all the way. I saw my business all the way. The stuff I was investing in, I was betting on people that reminded me of another entrepreneurial spirit. So I always bet on entrepreneurs. Even now, like, Z, who runs Roman.
Yeah. We're pen pals. We've never met in person, but
let me tell you something. You meet this guy, and you believe in that company instantly. Huh. There's certain founders that you meet that you go, they're going to figure it out one way or another. I've been fortunate to be around certain guys. We're both friends with Daniel Ek, who you're seeing later. Yeah. Daniel and I became friends. I invested in Spotify a long time ago. I've never sold a share. I'm a full believer. Obviously, I know that industry much better because it's my own. But I've been fortunate enough to be part of so many different rides. And then now, building a fund with some friends, and I've been very, Howard Marks, someone I look up to. He wrote a really great memo where he talks about luck. And I agree with it wholeheartedly. I was born in 1981 in New York City, and I look the way I look. I won the lottery the day I was born with privilege. So for anyone to say they're not lucky in doing this is completely absurd.